Hello walkers and welcome to Butte, Montana. It is a beautiful June evening, about 6 p.m., about 73 degrees, I think that's 33 degrees Celsius. We are starting out on Montana Street near Courts. You can see some of these old buildings. My name is Henry. I will be your proxy walker, your virtual travel guide. In fact, let's just say hello to Henry real quick. How you guys doing? Welcome to Butte, Montana. Welcome to City Walks, where we explore and discover and just sort of bumble our way around, having a good time in these cities and also on nature trails more recently. So I hope you enjoy this walk through Butte, Montana. I'm going to flip you around now. I believe this is the courthouse. We are near the top, not at the top, but near the top of the richest hill on earth, which is one of the many nicknames of Butte, Montana. I think I told you the time, I told you the temp, I told you the date-ish. But look at this view down Montana Street. It is a beautiful light we have here today. It is a Saturday, so it's going to be a little quieter or possibly a little wilder. I don't know, we'll have to find out. We're going to come up here to Granite, and I'm sort of trying to figure out the best way to do this because I don't want to film back into the sun. Butte is a very interesting city. Lots of old historic buildings because it's sort of seen hard times and things haven't been developed and torn down and shiny new office buildings and like you might see in a oil town or a tech town, which is all to our benefit. It is a little breezy today, so hopefully the wind won't play too much havoc with us as we turn east on Granite. And you can see in the distance, that red slash of earth is the Berkeley Pit, one of the largest, most expensive Superfund sites in the world where they are still mining copper. And as the water washes off of there, there's a chemical reaction that happens with the soil that it causes a chemical reaction that ends up being poisonous. The Berkeley Pit is infamous. I think in the 90s, a flock of snow geese landed on it and pretty much immediately died. And now they have mitigating, I forget the term for that, mitigation factors to keep birds from landing on it because it is a nasty soup. And there's really not a whole lot they can do about it at this point, except try not to let anybody come in contact with it. I'm going to go ahead and admit that I am not an expert on Butte. I do know some things. I know that they have an excellent folk festival here, music and cultural festival, as we come up to Alaska. And a lot of police cars rushing out of here. Hopefully that doesn't spell trouble. We're going to walk up this way. Maybe this is just where the police are coming out on their shift. What you see up ahead is called a head frame. It's one of many in Butte. In fact, I see another one off in the distance. And I believe these were used to lower miners down into the subterranean copper mines. And there is a very cool museum of mining here on the west side of Butte. I've been over there on a filming project, and it's really a fascinating place, museum. A lot of history here in Butte. And excuse me. And they also have Montana Tech here, where it's a mining school. Very cool campus up on the hill. And I've done some filming up there too. Also, Butte is home to, or the birthplace of, and former home to, Evel Knievel, the daredevil. In fact, you can take these really cool walking tours called the Butte Underground Tour, and you can see the jail cell where he was often held for his wild ways in his youth. And of course, he's famous for doing all kinds of motorcycle jumps. So we're just gonna walk up to this head frame and make a right. I mentioned the folk festival. It started out as this sort of festival, music festival that was traveling around the nation. Every couple of years they'd be in a new city. And Butte had such a great turnout and was such a great way to get people to the city that they decided to do one every year. I don't think they did it last year, but and apparently they do a really good job with it of getting good acts, well organized, and just a lot of fun. You can drive up, you can see sort of a neighborhood up there, and old houses, goes all the way up to the top of the hill, kind of around. As you might imagine, in an old mining town, people built houses where they could. I am filming this in 360. You may have noticed the contraption. Look at this view out here. Strapped to my backpack. And I'm trying to co-film these. So you might check those out if you're interested. I didn't read the street name up here. My apologies. Oh, it's a beautiful day. The wind is not great for the audio. Hopefully it's not too bad, but it is extremely pleasant to have. I mean, 73 degrees is not hot by any means, but when you're in the direct sun, it can get a little warm. So that breeze cools us right off. It's a neat old building. A lot of buildings like this. And Butte has worked really hard to better its lot. I think with the decrease in mining jobs or the automation of mining jobs, I'm not exactly sure, but Butte has had some hard economic times, and the people here are what they call Butte tough. They hang in, and it's also got a reputation for a bit of a wild town. A lot of Irish immigrants came here to mine back in the day, and so there's a lot of Irish heritage here. So St. Patrick's Day is a big deal. This is the federal building. Looks like they've been doing some work on that. Not sure what that is up there. Probably a former mining facility of some sort. You can see some of the stuff up there. And again, I didn't look at the street name. This is Main Street, and we were on Copper Street. And we're gonna make our way down here and just wend our way about the town with hopefully a minimal amount of uphill climbing. I've had a big day today. Started out in Livingston, of course. You can see this kind of memorial is pretty cool. The old Miners Union Hall, sorry. A lot of labor strife here back in the day. Anyway, started in Livingston, went to Helena, had an amazing live stream, so much fun. Loved chatting with all you viewers that tuned in. We had 35, 40 people at any given time. Looks like over the course of it, about 350. So that was super fun. And I just loved, it's like one of the best parts of this, doing these things, is chatting with you, reading your comments, responding, and having that line of communication. I don't know why I like it so much, but I do. This is Court Street. I think it's just neat to know that people appreciate this. And I like that. I like being a positive force in the world. Anyway, then I went on to Missoula, and I did 2 walks I did a live walk, I did another walk. Then I went to Missoula and did 2 walks there, and I think my Fitbit says I'm at around 12 miles for the day. And now I'm in Butte, and a beautiful, beautiful day it is. I really like this building. I can't remember what it's called, but the ironwork and the glass work around it are super fun to me, super cool. I love it. Very 19th, into the 19th century golden age. This is the land of the copper baron, political machinations and machines, buying and selling of votes, all the dirty deeds that come along with politics and money. I don't have anything against politics, I don't have anything against money, but when they mix, it tends to be get gnarly. And I don't know what street this is. No street signs. Pretty street though. We'll walk along here for a little bit. Will we? You know what I'm going to do? Sorry about this. I do this often. I'll backtrack a little ways because I'll have a change of heart. I'm going to see that view down Main. Super cool. I'm just going to go down here a little bit just because I love this building so much. Anywho, so there's all sorts of history about crooked senators and union busting and strikes and all that kind of fun stuff from the historically fun, not fun to live, back in the early 1900s, late 1800s. Tennessee Market looks like it's been redone, which is pretty fun. Look at the metalwork up there. I love that kind of stuff. It's not really filigree, but it's ornate, decorative work. Ooh, it's breezy. As we get closer here, you can see more of the Berkeley Pit. They really have excavated just a huge chunk of the earth out of there. And it's made Butte rich, or some Butteans very rich for a while, and electrified the nation, really, and telegraphs and all the stuff that copper wire goes into. In fact, it was, I think, one of the first cities to be fully electrified and have electric lighting. And that place looks a little abandoned. A lot of empty storefronts out here. And there's a lot of these little side streets and nooks and crannies of Butte that I haven't spent enough time to fully explore. And little treasures around, especially if you like these old buildings. It's a ye old Motel 6 over here. Still no street sign. Oh yeah, Wyoming. And this we're about to cross is granite. Trying to protect you from the microphone from the wind. An old filling station here. This would be a great place for a outdoor cafe or something, or a coffee shop. Guess it probably takes some money to redo. Trying to do several things at once here. Look at this view. Keep the backpack 360 camera steady. Keep the audio okay, and film with the camera. It's all a bit of a challenge, but I think we're up to the task. Look at this. This is fun too. These old alleys. I don't know. I like alleys. I think they say a lot about a place. Can have a lot of character. Look at the top of this old hotel or apartment building or whatever it was. It was a Cavalier maybe. Anyway, sort of that French-looking top of it. Super fun, pretty. Coming up on Broadway in Wyoming. And I think we're gonna make it right over here. So you can see some old buildings down that way, old garages maybe. Look at this awning over Kinetic Fitness with some neon light underneath it. I'm liking that. And then you've got this blue place, which is 80s for sure. And then you've got this building that I'm gonna try to film here. it's going to be in the sunlight. But look at this. This is the Thornton Building. A lot of great ironwork and decoration and brickwork. I love it. Oops, sorry, I'm going to walk into the wind here. Ooh, breezy. You got your local surgical supply store next to the Uptown Cafe. Maybe we'll get into the lee of the stones here. If you are watching on 360, please keep in mind that I'm primarily filming for the flat version, and there will be things that I point out you might not be able to see as well in the 360. On the other hand, you in the flat, watching the flat version, the 360 will have much more comprehensive, wider views to look at as I try to hug these shadows in order to get a better exposure from the camera. Here's an old city hall. Looks almost like an old fire hall. Next to that beautiful, oh, look at that. That is just a great shot right there. That cherry tree. Sometimes, you travel around enough and you start to see places that remind you of other places. And that completely reminds me of a tree we saw on the Royal Mile in Edinburgh in front of an old church. And between two old stone buildings, much older than that, but still old. And this old building too. This is why I like the GoPro in cities, especially downtowns. It has this super wide angle lens that can capture these sort of things. I know some people don't like the distortion it has. This is the Herbauer Tower. Ooh, somebody's smoking the marijuana. Good stuff too. Coming back to Maine. Something's going on with the traffic lights today, where they're just sort of flashing red and yellow. Old Butte Historic Adventures. That's where we took our underground tour. Had this kid that had memorized the script. Awesome kid. Great tour, but man, he would not stray from that script at all. There were 4 of us, and he kept referring to addressing us as ladies and gentlemen. So there were like 4 adults and 2 toddlers, and it was he did a great job, but it was kind of funny. Club 13. I love this alley. I love those lights. I don't know if you can tell, but they've strung some lights down there. And this alley looks pretty gritty as well. If you like, this is cool too. If you like old buildings and old downtowns, Butte has got it. Look at this old model of a machine gun platform. Sassy's Antiques and Collectibles. That looks like a fun store. I have a history major. I love just sort of perusing through all that stuff. You can't really tell because of the magnification. Ooh, more art. I like the sound of that. All right. The Bronx Lounge and Supper Club. I had never really heard of supper clubs until I moved out to Montana. It's kind of a thing out here. These views out. I love this camera, 360, the Insta 360 1X, but for longer videos, it's a little buggy. It tends to just stop recording. That might have been it recording. Oh, now the GoPro stopped recording. Okay, sorry about that blip. The GoPro just sort of stopped recording and started again. All right, gotta take a pause here. All right, we'll try it. Alrighty. So we just had a weird technical issue. I don't know if it's the app on the phone trying to interact with the GoPro and the Insta361 at the same time. But hopefully we're gonna be okay. And I'll keep on recording. Thank you for your patience. Old barber shop. The Hollywood up here. Looks like that was probably a cool place at one point. Just doing walking tour. Yeah. Some folks curious about what I was up to. Sorry about the wind. And the sunlight. We're gonna get out of that soon. First Baptist Church up on the corner. You can see there's just a lot of empty storefronts. Which is a shame, but you know, people are trying really hard. The Covalite Theater up ahead of an old church returns July 2021 back to Montana, and we're going to make our way down to Park Street. Love that view of that hill, and the light tonight is just great. It's a great time of day to be out. If you were to go all the way down this hill, you would go underneath I-90. If you made a left down around there, you would get to the airport. So here's what I'm going to do. No, I'm not going to do that. I was going to go down that way, but I think I'm just going to go down this way, show you this cool building, and make our way back here. Love these old brick buildings. I can't get over it enough. Kavanaugh's County Celtic. There was an Irish pub around the corner. A lot of Irish influence here in Butte, Montana. They're coming for me. You can see this old building. Not a lot going on up top as we hit Dakota Street. It's kind of tricky deciding which side of the street to walk on. I'm gonna cross over real quick. Avoid people. Orofino Coffee. Miners Hotel. Butte stuff. A boutique hotel. I'll bet. Cool old parking, it's not an old sign, but old style sign for the parking garage. It's a neat old building there. These sort of buildings, some are super tall, go up pretty high, others right next door, 2 stories, but ornate. That old place over there, Victorian looking, Curtis Music Hall. I love the old style of putting the name of the building in the stonework itself. Metals is a sports bar and grill. That's a pretty cool place to go up and have a nice view of the downtown area. I've eaten there a couple times. Now, to the left is the Northwestern Building, Northwestern Energy. They've got a lot of money, so obviously it's not obviously, but it's a new building. But they kind of stayed with the old style design, which I like. You know, it fits in well here. Here's the old, it's in an old bank building, the sports bar. I love it. Park and Main Cafe, maybe that's more of it. Some sports talk radio. Look up that way. That's awesome view on Main Street. I'm going to cross, even though it's saying not to. Give you a look down that way. And then I'm going to spin around and show you the building again. Even though it might be looking into the sun, you can see that second floor on the hill becomes the third floor. No, it's the first and then becomes the second. Great big windows. I love that. And then you got the mountains down there. But we're going to keep going down another block because that's how we do. I mentioned we're on Park Street. And then there's some outdoor dining, looks like, across the way up here. Slanite? I don't know what that place is. It's kind of nice. Definitely a lot of people out there. Oh, it's slanche. So Irish for, I think it's welcome or health. That's pretty cool. I love this view with that one building sticking up into the sunshine in the background. I'm actually not a bold or forward person, and it's quite awkward for me to be stared at with these camera set up that I'm walking around with and in. But that's kind of what it takes to get the footage, and I like doing that, so it's good to push my envelope. Yeah, they are. That's a lot of noise. Houses and apartments for rent. Love these old windows. Although they're single pane, so I have to guess that it gets pretty cold. Alright, so back to Wyoming. I could keep going down, but I just have to backtrack on this road. I wouldn't have to, but I would, because I think the next block down doesn't have a whole lot to offer. You can see more views of the Berkeley Pit. And I don't know if you can see high on that ridgeline a white dot. That is Our Lady of the Mountains. It is a giant sculpture that is lit up at night and has an interesting history. I think it was donated by a wealthy person whose wife passed away of illness, and there was some prayer involved, and that's about the extent of my detailed knowledge. So, coming up on Galena, more great views of those mountains in the distance. I think that's the Pentler Range, but I don't quote me on that one. I am not the geography expert in our family. There we go, back in the shadow. It's kind of neat over here, this parking lot. Somebody's put up a bunch of silhouettes from, looks like 19th century, early 20th century dress and automobiles maybe. So early 20th century. It's kind of fun. I think it would be fun to get a drone video of Butte, especially at this time of day, maybe not in this wind. I think that would be fun. Trying to minimize the sound of the rubbing of the backpack on the microphone. Not doing a great job of that. Like the Muddy Creek Brewery shut down, unfortunately. I never had any of the beers, but hate to see a brewery not make it. Coming back to Main Street. We're on Galena, right? So somewhere, I think I hate to think that's it, but somewhere in Butte is a Chinese restaurant. And I believe, there's the metals thing again. We're gonna go this way. I think it was in an old brothel. When the tables are in these little cubicles kind of things, these little cubbies. And it's fun to go eat Chinese food there. I don't know exactly where it is. That says Peking chop suey. I don't think that's it, but it could be. Of course, there is a history of Chinese influence in the West, especially in mining towns. Not just in California, which is where it's famous for, but also here in Montana. Seems like every hope I don't get run over here. Every Western town has a Chinese restaurant. Mercury Street. Smells good. I'm good at that, but maybe I'm just hungry. So as we look left, again, the Berkeley Pit down that way, a few more old buildings spread out. Looks like maybe some antiques. Pork Chop John's. Looks closed. Pork Chop John's, home of the original pork chop sandwich. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about that, for sure. They used to have a lot of restaurants around, a couple in Bozeman, one in Bozeman at least, maybe two. Yeah, you did. Chong Thai Company Building and Maiwa Noodle Parlors in here. And here's a museum. Very interesting. I would love to come back and see this museum. I didn't know this was here. Very interesting. Nice. So that museum, the noodle company, etc., was off of a historical marker that I was reading off of. SD card. Speed issue. Interesting. Hopefully that will maintain itself for a little while longer. Maps parking only. We're going to go back down to Montana and then head our way back. Here's an even better view of those mountains and the valley below. And then the mountains over there. It really is a beautiful place to have a city. The hauling water must have been a beast. Getting food and everything up from the valley floor. Of course, they probably had trains to do a lot of that. I apologize for filming into the sun. It can't really be helped to the best of my knowledge. And apologies for the wind. It is what it is, right? Bikeable Butte. Love it when a city is bike friendly. If you would like to see the other side of Montana Street, I took a couple videos in May a couple years ago, and I walked back around that area. I believe I went up to Montana Tech as well, but I don't remember exactly where I went. But I know I went back there. I'll try to link to them in the YouTube description. Oh, good. This is what I was hoping for. Not so much that wind. Hi there.
How you doing?
Good, how are you? So off to the right, oof, I'll show you here in a second. This is Headframe Spirits, and if you ever want to make Melinda Traveling Mel happy, you will gift her a bottle of their hey, how's it going?
It looks beautiful.
Thank you. Is get her a bottle of Orphan Girl made by Headframe Spirits here in Butte, Montana. Looks like their tasting room is up a ways. It's kind of like a Bailey's, but better. And she would love that. Orphan Girl, their liquors, their whiskeys, are named after mines, the name of mine shafts. So Orphan Girl was a mine shaft. There's one called Never Sweat, which I think is a rye, or maybe a bourbon, or, you know, not an official bourbon, but and then they make all the other stuff as well. Back to Park Street. Across. Taco del Sol. I think that is a Montana chain. I'm not sure though. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But they have it in Missoula, Great Falls, I believe in Billings. Could be wrong about that. Look at these great fruit trees and their flowers. The 360 people are going to get an up-close view. They smell wonderful. Looking down Broadway. Once again, sun's behind a cloud. Ooh, the wind is right in my face. Residential area down there on Granite. More downtown in Berkeley Pit. This is the courthouse, Silver Bow County. And my calves are getting very strong from this. Okay guys, this was not the longest video, not the longest walk, but I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed walking you guys around, being your proxy walker, your virtual travel guide. Didn't even do my perambulation pontification. I think that's gotten me in trouble a little bit. Not real trouble, but tweaked some sensibilities. Anyway, love doing these videos for you. Hope you enjoy them as well. Give me a shout out in the comments. Let me know your thoughts, your connections, your memories, and we'll have a nice little conversation there. And thank you for joining me in this tour of Butte, Montana, Butte, America. We will see you again soon. Not sure where from, but we will see you. And until then, keep on stepping.